James' first car was a Pontiac Firebird V6. It was a 3800 or 3.8 liter, and he had this car during high school. He added a cold air intake and a Flowmaster exhaust. The car was an automatic, and it was an awesome car to have during high school. He always wanted to put the supercharger from a Grand Prix on the car since they both shared the same power plant. It was the same engine. You could swap that all over, and I think that would have been a really potent, fast car. These Firebirds already had 200 horsepower when they came from the factory compared to the 150 horsepower that my 97 V6 Mustang had, and later the new Edge Mustang V6s would have 190, pretty close to the 200 mark, but that 3.8 liter did pretty well already, so it would be pretty cool to have a supercharger on there. Although that was a good dream, he didn't have the money back then to do the swap and buy all those parts and put it on and everything. But what he did do was take as good a care of the car as possible. So he really found a love for detailing his cars and kept them as clean and nice as possible. That's how I was with mine as well. So as time went on, he went down to Florida for college. He took the Firebird with him. And while he was down there, he started looking at V8 cars because now that he was away from his parents, he was saying more than ever, he was able to look around and start looking for a V8. He said something really interesting about when he was searching for the car. He said, sometimes the search for the car is more exciting than getting the car itself. And I definitely know how that is. I've had 14 Mustangs and I love looking at them. I'm always looking at them for sale. I'm always wanting to buy one. I love the trip to go get one. It's always been something exciting for me, so I can totally relate. He said he almost went to the dark side. He was looking at a blue '84 Corvette, and he said, that might be kind of a weird car, but honestly, I think it's an awesome car. My friend got one in high school, and I helped him pick it out. They were very torquey, low-end, nice rumbly cars. They had the Crossfire fuel injection, which wasn't very good, and it only lasted a year anyway. But I know there were some problems with them, but they were still nice cars, and they were fun to drive around. So the one he found was very well maintained. It was owned by an older gentleman, and he just wanted to get out of it because it was too hard to get in and out of the car. So he wanted to have a muscle car, but he was ready to sell the Corvette. So James went to go test drive it. The C4 has very deep seating positions, and I remember that about my friends. It felt like you're sitting on the ground when you're in the car. He said that could be a little bit of a hassle, but he really enjoyed test driving the Corvette, going up and down the road pretending like he knew what he was looking for. And one thing he did know was that he loved the sound of the V8 and the general nostalgia of the muscle car. There were some issues with the car, of course, being how old it was. It had broken interior pieces, the alignment, stuff like that. But the deal fell through because of the outrageous insurance rate for an 18-year-old. So leaving empty-handed that day unknowingly was actually a good decision for him. Because a few weeks later he found his Mustang. It was only for sale online for a few hours when he saw it initially and fell in love. He said, I never thought I'd be interested in a yellow car, but this was different. When he showed up to see it, there was a potential buyer already checking out the car. And he was so excited just of the thought of owning the car, and when he heard it start up for the first time, he knew he had to have it. So it was a 2001 Mustang GT, and at this time it only had 64,000 miles. I really love yellow Mustangs, especially zinc yellow like his GT. I had a zinc yellow '03 Mustang Mach 1, and I really loved this car. I loved everything about it. The color was always so bright and fun. I loved driving it around. I loved going in the garage and looking at it. I think there's something very special about yellow, and even more so when you're there in person actually looking at it. It pops, it's bright, it catches your eye no matter where you are. They said there was a study done, and the two cars that catch your eye the quickest are yellow and white. Those are the two colors that attract the human eye the fastest, and so it's just a fun, bright color to be around. It makes you feel happy, so I really love this zinc yellow GT. When he bought the car, it had a C&L 78mm throttle body and plenum, and a JLT cold air intake. It sounded really good with the Flowmasters, had the 40 series on it, and it was lowered with iBox springs, and it also had saline wheels on it. You can see here too that the car is wingless, and it also has a bullet fuel door. It was kind of a hassle for him to finally get the title from the previous owner, but once he did, it was finally his car. And shortly he had both the Firebird and the Mustang at the same time, but he ended up selling the Firebird to someone at his college. So then he can concentrate on the Mustang. He went top to bottom cleaning the car. He knew every nook and cranny. Once he was finished detailing the car, he knew everything about it. So he enjoyed the car very much and even daily drove it for about 2 years. And then later he bought another car to have as a daily driver so he could keep some of the miles off of the Mustang. But he loved having that Mustang. So here's a cool picture of his friends' cars with his. And he said he'd always loved cruising and hanging around, and I love doing that too with my friends. And he calls it the best therapy, and I agree with that. Whenever something's not going well or you don't feel good, go out and have a nice drive, hang out with some car buddies. And looking at this picture, you can see his buddy has a near perfect 2001 Mustang Bullitt, and I think that's a really awesome car, and it's really neat that they have those two cars together. Here's a little drive-by of that Bullitt. I really love the Bullitt Mustangs. For those of you who don't know me very well, I had a Bullitt for several years. It was true blue. It was completely built engine, cams, head, supercharger, everything. Great car. I did a lot with that car. I actually had two Bullitts. I had a black one as well. Didn't have it very long and sold it to a friend. But anyway, it's fun to see these two cars together. I love Zinc Yellow and I love the green Bullitt, so this is a really cool picture. And so here's another cool picture with the Bullitt, the Zinc Yellow GT, and another 01 to 04 Mustang GT. And another cool picture of all the cars in the driveway and in the garage here. And so since then, he actually has moved home, back from college, and then again he moved with the car all the way across the country to Texas. So the car has been with him this whole time. And he's done some more upgrades to the car. He did some Bilstein shocks, subframe connectors, bump steer kit, control arm with greasable fittings, adjustable rear lower control arms, brake upgrades. He switched the rear end gear ratio from 410s to 373s. The car had the 410s in it when he bought it. And some of the engine upgrades include trick flow wedged heads with high lift comp cams. And something interesting about that is he said when he took the heads off the car, when he did all this, it had Romeo heads on it. And the car was made in January 19th, 2001. So that would actually be a early 01. And what's significant about that is the earlier 01 Mustang GTs had Windsor heads on them. There's a few little differences about them. And they also had a T45 transmission instead of the TR3650. And his had the T45, so that would mean that it had most of the parts of the early 01. So I assume actually that maybe the engine was replaced on this car once before, or somebody may have changed the heads on it and maybe blew a head gasket or warped a head or something. So that's very interesting. So back to the upgrades. He had a FP intake manifold, headers, and Mac H pipe. He said he did new interior upholstery, and if you look at those seats, they have the beautiful larger IUP interior upgrade package headrests. Those look so good on those seats. And overall, he has a really nice 2001 Mustang GT. These cars are great, and this car is very reliable. He says it has enough power to get out of its own way, but it's not going to beat any land speed records, and that's okay with him. He's owned the car for 5 years, and it's never left him stranded. And so I think that's really cool. I think he has something really nice here, and he can enjoy it, and it is what it is. It's not trying to be something outrageously fast and quick. It's just something that he can enjoy, that's fun to drive, that's upgraded nicely. And here's a little video of how the car sounds with the cams and everything. Now, he did sell that Volkswagen Daily Driver and ended up with a blue Corvette. He thought that's pretty funny because he was looking at blue Corvettes earlier. This one looks like it's a C5. But anyway, this is just a really good story about a 2001 Mustang GT that somebody loves and is taken care of, has a lot of pride in. They've done some good work to it. It runs good. It has a lot of nice upgrades in it. But anyway, thanks for watching the story. I hope you really enjoyed it like I did. I have over 100 stories like this in the playlist. I always link the playlist to these videos, so you can go through and watch those if you'd like. And remember to subscribe if you're not already on here, and stay tuned for more of these stories.